Markets have generally been pleased so far today with those job numbers, but there are some issues that we'll take a look at in a few minutes. Tesla continues ever upward. Can that just go on and on? Will we hit all-time highs by the end of the year? Maybe by the end of January? My original prognostication was end of January for all-time highs. I think, there's going to be some resistance between now and then. We've had quite the run-up. Sky Waiters, I've never quoted him before this morning, but I thought he did a very good job of summarizing the big, huge moat that Tesla has. Another thought regarding Tesla and the size of the moat around their business. Shortly, Tesla will have sold 10 million vehicles sometime next year. Each vehicle contains around $2,000, his estimate, of unnecessary cameras and chips to support the development of autonomous driving. It's completely irrelevant for the car as it exists today. Now, that's a stretch because you could use all of those cameras and even the chip for regular kinds of driver assist programs that many, many, many other cars have. So they're not completely irrelevant, but it's probably a lot more expensive than it needed to be just for driver assist. Put another way, Tesla has incurred unnecessary costs of about 20 billion. I'll cut that in half. How about 10 billion to load their cars with technology to solve autonomy, which is a pure car manufacturer. They didn't need to do that. Add to that the investment in NVIDIA chips, data centers, and Dojo chips to run the AI calculations, and you add another 10 billion. I go along with that. That's a clear case. So the moat surrounding Tesla's autonomous driving business for anyone wishing to copy Tesla is 20 to 30 billion dollars in climbing. Now, he doesn't mention all the engineering time and all of uh, the testing time, and there's massive amount of additional costs that would add to this moat. He says, add to that the time taken to manufacture and sell those 10 million vehicles and to set up uh, 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 you know, it's huge. All right. In his opinion, I don't see how anybody catches Tesla. I thought that was a good explanation for some of the problems that these other folks are going to have, especially as they begin to recognize that it's vision that's going to win the day. Moreover, here's this from Sawyer Merritt. He says, FSD has one intervention per 10,000 miles on any public road. That is coming. That's not 100% here yet, but that's the goal, and it's probably weeks away. So any public road is kind of the key here. He says, then he compares that to Waymo, which has one intervention according to them, depending on what you call an intervention. I've talked about that before. It may be that their way what they call an intervention, what Tesla calls an intervention, are two completely different things. But let's just give them their due. One intervention every 17,000 miles. They are only operating in a 40 square mile area. It's all pre-mapped. They use remote operators differently than Tesla is going to use remote operators. They have 5 times the hardware costs, although my understanding is that's coming down a lot. And here's the big one, they can't operate on highways. I think their max speed is 35 miles an hour. So according to Sawyer, Tesla's ahead on every metric, and I agree with that as well. This also from Sawyer Metric, Sawyer Metric. Sawyer Merritt, on another note, he says Tesla has the third highest owner satisfaction rating, according to a new Consumer Reports survey. Rivian has been winning this on a regular basis, and actually by quite a lot. Now they only sell 12 cars a year, so they don't have nearly as many people to score. But anyway, BMW actually scored 1 point higher than Tesla. Tesla also ranked number 2 in ownership cost, number 2 in most satisfying driving experience behind Porsche, and number 2 in cabin storage. I wonder who got a higher ranking than on cabin storage. From AJ this morning, he says this is not trading advance, but he says it's a potential, meaningful, quick payday that's coming soon. He says in his analysis, Tesla's fourth quarter headline EPS will likely beat consensus by about 30%. He says we need to see whether consensus ends up reflecting this, but it's unlikely and could create a special opportunity. The reason for the beat is likely a $1 billion Bitcoin gain. Okay, so this Bitcoin gain is not currently on the books, not showing up in EPS, not showing up anywhere. There's a couple of other things like this that he could have added to the list, which I would have added to the list, which is feature complete could create a massive one-time gain in the fourth quarter. We'll see what Tesla decides to do with that, but it could be more than this 1 billion, substantially more than the 1 billion. Number four, he says Tesla hasn't moved to fair value accounting yet, and hence Tesla's Bitcoin holding still sits at its original $16,000 acquisition price. $16,000 acquisition price. Really? That's all it is? Wow. Number five, the revelation flows through the P&L and also the EPS. Six. And now analysts, of course, will adjust for it on a one-time, one-off, non-cash item, as they should, but it does create this following. Number seven, just like we saw in fourth quarter 23, where Tesla reported a one-time $5.9 billion non-cash gain from the release of DTA valuation reserves, this one-time 1 billion headline earnings boost could cause similar mistrading in the algos, just like we saw on fourth quarter 23 reporting day. There was a brief moment where Tesla spiked up significantly because the rookie traders misinterpreted the print. He says, hey, this gives fast responders about a 1 to 2 minute trading window to take advantage of the triggered volatility. However, what he doesn't point out is that this is not, is that there's also an actual gain here. Okay, this is an actual profit. Yeah, it's a one-time sort of, depending on what you're thinking about Bitcoin. But the FSD gain that he doesn't talk about here, which also is going to be a one-time gain and will be very substantial, could create the same kind of algo problem and benefit, this 1 minute opportunity, but will also be a major ongoing benefit downstream. Bradford Ferguson is reporting this morning. Okay, let me set this up. Is that Boomer Mama is out there. You've probably seen it on X. If you're on X, she is now getting another campaign going where she's asking all of us if we own stock in any other companies that are currently headquartered in the grand state of Delaware. If you have company stock, if you have companies that you own stock in that are located in Delaware, she wants you to send them a letter to their IR department or somebody and say, hey, you need to get the heck out of Delaware. And he said that he did this, Brad Ferguson said he did this with regard to Lemonade. And he says the Lemonade CEO sends a powerful message to Delaware. We will await the decision of the appellate court before weighing the implications. He says Lemonade is closely following the Tesla developments with the Delaware judge. In about 2 years, Lemonade may be a profitable legal target like Tesla. All right, Mario Nafal says Starlink rewrites history. No signal, not anymore. So have you ever been in a situation where you haven't had any signal on this thing? Like yesterday? The first ever satellite to sell direct-to-cell network is now live, marking a game-changing moment in global connectivity. He says this is a historic leap that unmodified cell phones can now connect to the internet in most remote corners of the earth. Current capability bandwidth per beam is 10 megabytes. Paving the way for universal access. Future vision, the next generation constellations promise even greater advanced capabilities. Starlink's milestone reshapes what is possible for global communication. Well, having said all of that, this is Randy Kirk. This is a great time to hit the like button. Just like it because the stock is up again today, and because I predicted that it would be up by the end of January, and my number is still in play. Ryan S. and Paul W., thank you so much for buying Cybertruck bottle openers. That's a great decision on your part, and many, many more of you should be doing that to get your Christmas presents all lined up. And lots of time still, but we do. It's the 6th. Is it today the 6th? I think it is. And you should be buying those Christmas gifts now. I have over 100 in stock, so there's plenty of available inventory. Don't forget to tell me whether you want a stainless steel, or if you want the camouflage, so I know which way to go on that. Also, the books are for sale and autographed copies. If you want me to autograph it for a friend or for you, I'll do that too. Total non-farm. What's later today? Not sure. Either Bradford Ferguson or Larry Goldberg, because last night Bradford couldn't be on, and Larry will be on Saturday morning. So I'm not 100% sure who will be on later today. What I do know is that there will be a Brian Wang video tonight at 7:45 that you do not want to miss. It is as usual, stunning. So, all right, what about those payroll numbers? Total non-farm payroll employment rose by 227,000 in November, and the unemployment rate was little changed, but up at 4.2%. The 227,000 was a beat. I think 222 was the number that the street was expecting, so not much of a beat. The change in total non-farm payroll employment for September was revised up. So September was revised up by 32,000. And the change for October was revised up by 24,000, which increased that little tiny 12,000 number to 36,000 number. However, let's add a little color to those numbers. 𝐒𝐚𝐭𝐮𝐫𝐝𝐲 says, while the non-farm payroll report showed the U.S. added 227,000 jobs in October, other metrics disagree. The household survey showed significant weakness, with the number of employed people falling by 355,000. So you got 227,000 up on this report and 355,000 down in this report. Now, there are two different surveys. One survey uses hard numbers, actual numbers from corporations sending in their information about their payrolls. And the other one is a survey where they pick up the phone and call households and ask whether anybody's employed and how many people are employed, et cetera, et cetera. So they're completely two different methods of getting the same information, but they are off by a lot. Anyway, the other information that you wanted to know, the stuff that might be even more important with regard to these jobs numbers, is in November, average hourly earnings for all employees on private non-farm payrolls rose by 13 cents or 0.4%. That's an annual run rate of 5% to 35.61. Over the past 12 months, average hour earnings have increased by 4%. And this seems to be a rounded number. It's always a rounded off number, so it could be more than 4. But whatever it is, the increase in payrolls is running at 4 to 5% per year right now. That's wonderful for everybody that's employed. I don't want to knock it. I want everybody to make more money, and it's way over inflation. So that's good. That's real earnings. However, the problem with the number is it's inflationary. It is too much. It needs, according to the Fed, needs to be around more like 0.3% per month, even a little less than that. 3% per year would be better. 0.25% would be, per month would be better. Yeah, but that's not what's happening. And so does that mean that we're going to be seeing some inflation downstream? The other number that is always in some ways more important, the average work week for all employees on private non-farm payrolls edged up by 0.1 hour to 34.3 hours in November. And manufacturing, the average work week was little changed. However, in manufacturing, that's good. It wasn't down. Overtime edged up by 0.1 hours to 2.9 hours in manufacturing. That's good. So overall, I'd say it was a pretty good jobs number, except for this problem, this ongoing problem of what is the truth about the actual headline number. But the markets, again, are okay with what these numbers are this morning. Okay, how about consumer sentiment? That's breaking this morning. We've got that from the University of Michigan. Here's the exact words that they used, although I might interject from time to time. Consumer sentiment improved for the fifth consecutive month, rising about 3% to its highest reading in 7 months. A surge in buying conditions for durables led current economic conditions to soar more than 20%. So the current feelings that people have about the economy soared 20%. Rather than a sign of strength, however, this rise in durables was primarily due to a perception that purchasing durables now would enable buyers to avoid future price increases. So they're trying to get ahead of price increases. However, any increase in durables purchases at this point would be appreciated and could start to generate another round of improvements in the economy. The expectations index continued the post-election recalibration that began last month. And it's climbing for Republicans and declining for Democrats. So people's expectations of the future, great if you're a Republican, not so great if you're a Democrat. Independents were, as usual, in the middle between the two major parties with readings close to the national average. The adjustment process is consistent with a response to actual underlying changes in expectations for the national economy and not merely an expression of partisanship. For example, throughout this month's interviews, Democrats voiced concerns that anticipated policy changes, particularly tariff hikes, would lead to a resurgence in inflation. Republicans disagreed. They expect the next president will usher in an immense slowdown in inflation. As such, national measures of sentiment and expectations continued to reflect the collective economic experiences and the observations of the American population as a whole, and probably whether they listen to CSNBC or Fox News to get their news. Overall, year-ahead inflation expectations rose from 2.6 last month to 2.9% this month. That's the highest reading in 6 months, but within the 2 to 3% range seen in the last 2 years, seen in the 2 years pre-pandemic. So it was been running like that pre-pandemic. We're going to have to get, sometime we're going to get away from pre and post-pandemic and get back to just this is what it is. Long-run inflation expectations edged down actually from 3.2 to 3.1, which is a modest elevation compared to pre-pandemic numbers. All right, so there you go. Let's see how the markets are continuing to look at these numbers after, being up for week after week. We've just seen this market continue to go up. Well, I think we'll be hitting all-time highs again, but let's start with Tesla, up just almost $5, $4.86. It has been up more than that, and it has been up less than that. But right now, that's where it is, around $5. Dow Jones up 69, call it 70. NASDAQ is up 143, S&P up 23. We have got the Magnificent Seven all up except NVIDIA down 48 cents. And we have the Cathie Woods all up except for PayPal down 15 cents. So pretty much the markets are saying, go, go, go. Let's keep going. We're liking what's happening here. All right, the percentages is the Dow is up 0.16%. NASDAQ is up 0.73%. S&P up 0.38%. And Tesla up 1.2%. All right. Which is now only $4.37 with quite a nice little negative sell-off there over the last couple of seconds. But a lot of volatility in Tesla this morning, but in a smaller range, like $1.50 range. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the bonds. Bonds are down this morning, but not as much as they were. So they're also seeing a little change here. So the bonds themselves, 10-year bond prices are up, but that means yields are down 2.9 basis points at 4.153. You've got the 2-year down 5.9 basis points. That's good at 4.087. And the 1 month is at basically 1 basis point up at 4.448. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at oil. Oil this morning is down $1 in both places, 67.22 for Texas Intermediate. Okay, that's starting to bounce against the recent lows. I don't think it got much below $67 in the last time that it was at these kind of lows. Brent at 71. About a normal, a little higher than normal because $3 is normal, but sitting a little more than like a $3.80 above. Natural gas is 0.97% down this morning at $3.05. So also looking like there's a chance it might go under that $3. We've got gold up $10 this morning at 2,658, very much within its normal range recently. Silver, same thing, up 0.14%, $31.58. It's been range bound between 30 and 34 for quite a while now. Copper up 0.25 at $4.20, also right in its exactly where it's been. The dollar has fallen after the jobs report. Falling bond yields would tend to generally, not always by any stretch of the imagination, would tend to make the dollar drop a bit. And then Bitcoin, which had fallen dramatically below 100,000, down to as low as around 92,000. I think I saw it yesterday. It has now come back to 99,315, up 453 for the day so far. All right, so what are we going to do today? All right, we got liking, subscribing, and notifying, and we've got definitely for sure Brian Wang tonight about 7:45, and it'll either be Bradford Ferguson or Larry or who knows, maybe somebody else tonight for the regular Good News show. And then tomorrow, this is of course Good News. This is what do you call it? Jobs Friday. That means that Cathie Wood will be reporting. We're just going to assume that she reports overnight early enough that Larry and I can do a show around noon California time tomorrow. Look for Larry. Everybody loves that show. That is, I love that show. That's my favorite show of the month. I think Larry feels the same. Anyway, check that one out. Around noon tomorrow would be my best guess, although sometimes Cathie is late or there's other reasons that doesn't happen. All right, buying Cybertruck bottle openers would be a very smart idea. Go down to the $25 for one, $45 if you want two, $65 if you want three, 80 for four, 100 for five. And you send it to paypal.me/Randy Kirk. And if you want to mix and match with books, you can do that too. Same prices across the board. You want one of one and two of the other, any combination you want, and I'll get those off to you ASAP. So those gifts arrive in time for Christmas. It takes, if you're in Florida or New York or someplace, it takes about 6 days. So keep that in mind as you're making your plans. All right, I think, we should go back and check Tesla one more time just for fun. Or, maybe it won't be that much fun. Back up, see, look like that. Boom, just in that few seconds, back up. $5.41 now. So yeah, Tesla bouncing all around. Maybe we're looking for kind of this 375 might be, it's not supposed to be. 380 is supposed to be the number that the technical analysts are telling us is the next roof, if you will, ceiling on the stock. But 375 right now seems to be giving it a little trouble. All right. This has been fun as always and great talking to you.